children. Welcome to week 13, lucky week 13 of Draw and Paint for Life. We're looking at the work of Vincent van Gogh and specifically his painting, Starry Night, which I know most of you know. I mean, it's like a world famous painting. And did you know he painted it 21 times? From the window of, he was in the hospital. He had some mental health issues, the likes of which are, much more easily remedied in our day and age. So you never have to be afraid of that when you talk about Van Gogh. He had some mental health issues. He went to the hospital and he painted Starry Night 21 times from his window, and his window had bars on it, but he didn't paint the bars. He painted the stars. So how's that for beauty and optimism? And a world famous painting. So anyway, we're looking at the color purple as well. And our geometric form is a ribbon, which is one of my favorite things. I remember when I learned how to draw that in art school, it was really like, I've just never really stopped painting them. So here we go. We're going to start with the color purple and some color mixing. Thanks for being here. Okay, so the purple we're working with this week is right in the middle of your paint box across from this deeper orange. And it looks like that. Okay. All right, just gonna lay out the purple. Some people call purple violet, which is an absolutely acceptable name for it. Again, purple, purple. Okay, and one more swatch of purple. Actually, we'll do two. So this will kind of be our control purple. So you can see that's what purple looks like. And here's what happens when you take a little bit of black. Kind of beautiful, isn't it? It always surprises me what happens with black when you add it to a color, because it grays everything out, but in kind of a truly rich way. This is white, which makes a nice lavender. See that? Okay. Now we're going to go yellow, and I'm going to use my cadmium and a little bit of lemon yellow. See what happens here? Gosh, it almost goes like a dirty brown. It's fascinating, isn't it? Because essentially, when purple is blue and red, when you mix yellow into it, you're essentially mixing all three primary colors together, and it's gonna go brown. So there you go. It's almost like a mustardy color. All right, and then red, and I'm gonna do the alizarin crimson and see what happens. Put a little bit more purple in. Get like a nice rich red violet. Okay. And the last one, I'm going to take the ultramarine blue. Is that ultramarine blue? No, that's the wrong one. This is the ultramarine blue right here with purple. And again, ultramarine blue just makes everything. It's kind of like ketchup. Makes everything better. I don't really feel that way about ketchup, but it's kind of one of those things. Anyway, a little bit more purple. It just makes it, really nice and gorgeous and rich feeling. So there we have it. This is our straight up purple. Here's what happens when you mix some black into it. You get almost like a grape color. White goes lavender. Yellow makes kind of like a terracotta brown with a little bit of sand in it. A rich blue velvet when you put ultramarine blue on purple, and when you put alizarin crimson or kind of a blue red, you get actually more of a reddish grape color. So there we go. Color mixing for the week, and again, our color was purple, otherwise known as violet. Hi there. So our next video is about Vincent van Gogh, and it's a kind of a lot to watch. It was some type of TED talk, but there were scientists who looked at Starry Night, and they came to the conclusion that Van Gogh, even in an altered state of great sadness when he was at the hospital, painted scientific principles in paint that weren't actually proven mathematically until like 100 years later or more. So have a look at it, because it'll tell you something about intuition and observation, which you're great at. So have a look. Thank you.
One of the most remarkable aspects of the human brain is its ability to recognize patterns and describe them. Among the hardest patterns we've tried to understand is the concept of turbulent flow in fluid dynamics. The German physicist Werner Heisenberg said, "When I meet God, I am going to ask him two questions. Why relativity and why turbulence? I really believe he will have an answer for the first." As difficult as turbulence is to understand mathematically, we can use art to depict the way it looks. In June 1889, Vincent van Gogh painted the view just before sunrise from the window of his room at the St. Paul de Massol Asylum in Saint-Rémy-de-Provence. In the starry night, his circular brushstrokes create a night sky filled with swirling clouds and eddies of stars. Van Gogh and other Impressionists represented light in a different way than their predecessors, seeming to capture its motion, for instance, across sun-dappled waters, or here in starlight that twinkles and melts through milky waves of blue night sky. The effect is caused by luminance, the intensity of the light in the colors on the canvas. The more primitive part of our visual cortex, which sees light contrast and motion but not color, will blend two differently colored areas together if they have the same luminance. But our brain's primate subdivision will see the contrasting colors without blending. With these two interpretations happening at once, the light in many Impressionist works seems to pulse, flicker, and radiate oddly. That's how this and other Impressionist works use quickly executed prominent brushstrokes to capture something strikingly real about how light moves. 60 years later, Russian mathematician Andrei Kolmogorov furthered our mathematical understanding of turbulence when he proposed that energy in a turbulent fluid at length r varies in proportion to the 5/3 power of r. Experimental measurements show Kolmogorov was remarkably close to the way turbulent flow works, although a complete description of turbulence remains one of the unsolved problems in physics. A turbulent flow is self-similar if there is an energy cascade. In other words, big eddies transfer their energy to smaller eddies, which do likewise at other scales. Examples of this include Jupiter's Great Red Spot, cloud formations, and interstellar dust particles. In 2004, using the Hubble Space Telescope, scientists saw the eddies of a distant cloud of dust and gas around a star, and it reminded them of Van Gogh's Starry Night. This motivated scientists from Mexico, Spain, and England to study the luminance in Van Gogh's paintings in detail. They discovered that there is a distinct pattern of turbulent fluid structures, close to Kolmogorov's equation, hidden in many of Van Gogh's paintings. The researchers digitized the paintings and measured how brightness varies between any two pixels. From the curves measured for pixel separations, they concluded that paintings from Van Gogh's periods of psychotic agitation behave remarkably similar to fluid turbulence. His self-portrait with a pipe, from a calmer period in Van Gogh's life, showed no sign of this correspondence. And neither did other artists' work that seemed equally turbulent at first glance, like Munch's The Scream. While it's too easy to say Van Gogh's turbulent genius enabled him to depict turbulence, it's also far too difficult to accurately express the rousing beauty of the fact that in a period of intense suffering, Van Gogh was somehow able to perceive and represent one of the most supremely difficult concepts nature has ever brought before mankind, and to unite his unique mind's eye with the deepest mysteries of movement, fluid, and light.
I thought it would make it a little bit of a nice ending to have some videos of space and the swirls and ribbons, these, starry night ribbony forms that we see through the Hubble telescope, and which has been kind of replaced by the James Webb telescope now, but the images are awesome. Have a look. Thank you, children. Well, that's it for week 13. Have an amazing time making beautiful art. You children are important to the world, and I really mean it. Thank you for making art. Thank you for being so bright and beautiful and making things that make people smile. And remember that life is beautiful. You are so important. Thanks for making art. See you soon. Bye.